Hello there. Dr. Bill Crawford here. I'm a psychologist, speaker, author of 4 books, host of 2 PBS specials. Here today to talk about the subject of spanking as it relates to disciplining your child, teaching them life lessons. This came about because recently there's a sitcom where this mom was in a store shopping with her son and shopping in a clothing store. The son thought it might be fun to hide among the clothes and pretend that he wasn't there. Well, of course, the mom freaked out. I've lost my son. Oh, my God. Went to talk to the policeman. The son's kind of hiding, and that little kid, maybe 5 years old or so, kind of chuckling. Oh. And finally, when the mom catches him, she is so furious. Understandably, as a parent, we freak out when that happens. And she says, "You wait till your father gets home. He's going to spank you." So then she calls her husband, and her husband was, "Well, wait a minute. I don't know about this spanking thing. Hey, you're the one that really thinks he needs to be spanked. Why don't you spank him?" She goes, "No, you're the spanker." And so he starts kind of talking to his colleagues. What do you think about this whole thing? And I think it's something that's changed over time. Because most people grew up being spanked by their parents. I grew up being spanked by my mom. It didn't scar me for life, but I'm not sure it really taught me wonderful life lessons. I don't remember leaving those experiences going, I feel so much clearer now about the qualities and characteristics I want to bring to life. What I learned was, Bill, you need to be better at not getting caught. And that's the problem, I think, sometimes of spanking, is that it really doesn't teach kids what we really want them to learn. This comes from a philosophy that I have. It's a book that I wrote called How to Get Kids to Do What You Want. And I have the opportunity to go around the world now teaching this concept. And so one of the things I do is I ask parents, okay, what is our highest purpose with kids? Is it get them to do a certain behavior, or is it to teach them something they're going to need as adults? First, I get everybody to agree that anytime we're interacting with a child, we're teaching them something. I think that's fair to say. And then I suggest maybe the problem is we think we're teaching or raising kids. And sometimes adults go, well, yeah, of course we're raising kids. Well, who else will we be raising? I said, well, I don't think we're raising kids any more than a cattle farmer is raising calves or a chicken farmer is raising chicks. I think we're raising adults. So if anytime we're interacting with a child, we're teaching them something and we're raising adults, why don't we make sure we're teaching them a quality or characteristic we want them to have when they become an adult? People are generally okay with that. So I'll say, okay, great. So what are the qualities and characteristics you want your child to have when he or she becomes an adult? And they'll say things like confident and kind and loving and intelligent and responsible and employed and courteous and just really wonderful qualities. Makes sense, because who wouldn't want our child to grow up to be that way? What's fascinating, however, is not so much what they say, but what they don't say. Anytime I've asked, and I've probably done this seminar 500 times around the world, okay, what are the qualities and characteristics you want your child to have when he or she becomes an adult? They never say the word obedient. Now, I think we want them to be law-abiding citizens, just like we are law-abiding citizens. But I think we see that as being responsible, not so much obedient. Matter of fact, what they want them to do is have self-confidence, the ability to trust their own inner guides, to know what they believe and follow that, no matter what anybody else says. So what I think we want to do is ask ourselves the question, okay, when I'm spanking my child, what am I teaching them? Am I teaching them a quality or characteristic I want him to have as an adult? See, when the mother, she was so frightened, and by the way, for those of you who know anything about my philosophy of life from the top of the mind, when we're angry or frustrated or resentful, or we get frightened, we go into that lower 20% of the brain. And so she was really frightened. And I think, again, we can all relate to that. If we lost our child, we would be too. But then when we find him, we have a tendency to take it out on them, almost in some ways trying to scare him, to teach him not to scare people. Because I think that's really what she was wanting him to learn. Hey, you really shouldn't scare people like that, especially your parents. They love you. They're going to freak out. Don't do that to them. So she wanted him to learn not to scare people, but she was trying to teach it by scaring him, by saying, your father is going to spank you. You should be frightened of that. You should be worried about that. And I'm not sure that frightened and worried are the qualities and characteristics we really want to teach our kids. One of the favorite questions to Georgia and I, my wife and I, had when we found our kids making mistakes, doing things they weren't supposed to, which of course that happens, is, okay, I know you weren't trying to do that. See, we spoke to their better nature. And then I said, okay, so knowing what you know now, how would you do that differently in the future? See, there's no shame in the future. There's no blame in the future. They can answer that question based on what they've learned. When Christopher got picked up by the police at the middle of the night for sneaking out of the house, it was 2:30 in the morning, snuck out of the house, got caught by the police. When I went and got him, and when he got back into the car, the first thing he said to me was, Dad, can we just talk about how I'm going to do this differently in the future? Which was great. Wouldn't that be wonderful? If your kids came to you and they made a mistake, said, you know, I think I really screwed up here, but I've got an idea of how I'm going to do that in the future. Could we just bounce those ideas around and see? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Isn't that exactly what we're looking for? So I think we've got to be careful about trying to teach our kids not to hurt people by hurting them, or not to yell at people by yelling them, or not to scare people by scaring them. What we got to do, I think, is decide what is the quality or characteristic I want to teach, and how can I model that, and how can I get that across to my child in a way where he or she is likely to learn this lesson and hold on to it and value it. I'm not sure that spanking does that, especially because when we spank, we're mostly angry. So, you know, when I do my seminars and people say, wait a minute, are you telling me, well, I shouldn't spank my child? And I say, well, you know, I certainly trust that you're the expert in your child's life. You know your child better than anybody. I just think we want to make sure we never spank when we are angry or frustrated or resentful or upset. In fact, I think what we always want to do is discipline out of love. The root word of discipline is disciple. It means to follow out of love. So I tell people, you know, if you can spank your child and you're feeling loving and warm and wonderful, hey, well, maybe that's okay. But I think if we use that criteria to determine whether we should or shouldn't spank, we wouldn't be doing it. So I think the question is not so much whether we should or shouldn't spank. It's what do we want to teach? What are the qualities and characteristics we want them to have when they become an adult? And given that I want them to model me, to emulate me, for me to be their role model, what do I want to teach them now? How do I want to engage them in a way where they will learn one of those qualities and characteristics? Hope you found this valuable. One of the things I love to do is bring you new concepts every day to help you create the life you want, to help you bring more clarity, confidence, creativity into everything you do. And I think parenting is so important because we don't really get a manual for that, and it's probably one of the most important jobs in our life. So if you want me to come to your school or your church or your community, do a presentation on how to get kids to do what you want, I can show you how to engage that receptive part of the brain, that upper 80% of the brain, the cooperative part of the brain, versus the resistant brain, and actually show you how to get them to be more cooperative in a way that you would teach when they become an adult. If that's something you're interested in, go to my website, billcrawfordphd.com, or just Google Bill Crawford. I'll come up on the first page. Hit the contact button, let me know what you're interested in, and let's talk about making that happen. In the meantime, again, here's to you, bringing more clarity, confidence, creativity to everything you do, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.